close your eyes for a second and just
Uh-huh.
imagine, like, try to picture a world without airplanes.
Oh, wow.
No quick trips across the country or to exotic places.
Yeah.
Hard to even think about, right?
It is, yeah.
But that was the reality just a little over a century ago.
Right.
And today, we're going to go back to that time,
Okay.
to the very beginning of, like, the aviation revolution with these two brothers,
Mm-hmm.
Wilbur and Orville Wright.
The Wright brothers, yep.
So get ready to deep dive into those fascinating early years
Okay.
of their journey to invent the airplane.
Right.
And we're going to be drawing insights from the American History Tellers podcast episode.
Okay.
The Art of the Bird.
It's a story that I think really captures that spirit of innovation,
Yeah.
perseverance, and just like the relentless pursuit of this seemingly impossible dream.
Yeah, and what's so captivating about it is it all started in this small town in Ohio
Right.
with two brothers who just had this passion for tinkering
Mm-hmm.
and like this unyielding belief in their vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. They weren't like born into wealth or privilege or anything like that.
Right.
They were just ordinary guys, sons of a clergyman, nicknamed the Bishop's Boys.
Uh-huh.
And yet they achieved something that had eluded like some of the greatest minds
I know.
of their time.
At the time, yeah.
It's crazy.
It is a testament to the power of curiosity,
Yeah.
of like hands-on learning
Yeah.
and, you know, a willingness to embrace failure as like a stepping stone
Yeah.
to success.
And like you were saying, their story reminds us that groundbreaking innovations
Yeah.
often have these very humble beginnings.
Wow.
And speaking of humble beginnings,
Yeah.
their journey really started with just a simple fascination with kites
Right.
and a love for just like building things.
Mhm.
They even ran like a successful bicycle shop
Yeah, they did.
in Dayton, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So that bicycle shop wasn't just like a way to make a living.
Right.
It was their training ground,
Exactly.
their laboratory where they honed all their mechanical skills
Yeah.
and developed a deep understanding of like lightweight materials
Mm-hmm.
and structural stress.
Yeah.
All like elements that would prove crucial
Absolutely.
for building aircraft.
Totally. Yeah.
So they were already applying like principles of aerodynamics
Yeah.
without even realizing it.
I mean, in a way, yeah.
That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
They were constantly experimenting and like tinkering
Mm-hmm.
and learning from their successes and failures.
Yeah.
I mean, that hands-on experience with the bicycles
Right.
really laid the foundation
Yeah.
for their future endeavors.
Yeah.
It's amazing how like seemingly unrelated experiences can
Mhm.
converge and like shape someone's path.
Absolutely.
But there must have been like a pivotal moment
Yeah.
when they shifted their focus from bikes to planes.
Right.
Right.
There was in 1896,
All right.
Orville was struck with typhoid fever,
Oh, wow.
and it was like a very close call
Oh, no.
during his recovery. Wilbur really immersed himself in the work of Otto Lilienthal,
Uh-huh.
a German aviation pioneer
Okay.
who tragically died in a glider crash.
Wow. That's both inspiring and like a bit daunting, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, yeah.
Like it solidified their commitment,
Yeah,
but it also highlighted those inherent risks involved.
right, right.
They knew they were entering uncharted territory
Uh-huh.
and the stakes were high.
Yeah, for sure.
So like inspired by Lilienthal, but also deeply aware of the dangers,
Yeah,
they set out to build their first full-size glider in 1899.
right.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Oh.
Wilbur came up with this like ingenious concept
Okay.
called wing warping.
Ah, yes, the wing warping technique.
It was a breakthrough in flight control.
It was.
So imagine this. Wilbur is observing birds in flight,
Right.
and he notices how they adjust their wingtips to maneuver and maintain balance.
Yeah.
And he has this aha moment,
Mhm.
and he uses a simple cardboard box
Okay.
to demonstrate the principle. By twisting the box,
Yeah.
he realized he could mimic the way birds controlled their flight.
That's so cool.
So simple, yet so brilliant.
I know, right?
They were literally thinking outside the box, weren't they?
Yeah.
But how did they translate that cardboard box experiment
Right.
into an actual glider?
Well, they designed a system of like interconnected wires and pulleys
Okay.
that allowed the pilot to warp or
Yeah.
twist the wings of the glider,
Okay.
effectively controlling its roll and balance.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a game changer because it allowed for so much more maneuverability
Yeah.
than previous glider designs.
That's incredible. It sounds like they were constantly observing, experimenting, refining their ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But they needed a place to test their creations.
Yeah,
Right.
they did.
So they needed a location with consistent winds,
Right.
open space for, takeoff and landing,
Yep.
and a certain degree of isolation
Mm-hmm.
for their experiments. And that's what led them to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina in 1900.
Kitty Hawk, yeah.
Kitty Hawk, it's become like almost synonymous with the Wright brothers
Yeah,
and their early
yeah.
flights.
Yeah.
But what was it about that specific location that made it so ideal for their work?
Well, Kitty Hawk had the perfect combination of factors.
Okay.
It had strong, steady winds blowing in from the Atlantic,
Cool.
which were essential for generating lift
Yeah.
for their gliders.
Makes sense.
The remote sandy beaches
Yeah.
provided like a soft landing surface,
Yeah.
which is like crucial when you're experimenting with unproven flying machines.
Right, of course.
And perhaps most importantly, it was so far away from like prying eyes and distractions,
Yeah.
allowing them to work in relative secrecy.
So picture this.
Yeah.
Two brothers from Ohio setting up camp
Yeah.
on this desolate, windswept beach,
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by nothing but sand dunes and the vastness of the Atlantic Ocean.
Right.
It must have been such a stark contrast
Totally.
to their bicycle shop back in Dayton.
It must have been an incredible experience.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't all smooth sailing. They
Yeah.
faced all sorts of challenges.
Oh, yeah.
The long journey to get there, primitive living conditions,
Mm-hmm.
unpredictable weather, and of course, that constant battle
Yeah.
with the elements.
And I imagine there were crashes too, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were essentially learning to fly by trial and error.
Right, pretty much.
There were definitely crashes,
Yeah.
setbacks, and moments of frustration.
Yeah.
Their initial calculations were off,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to make numerous repairs and redesigns.
Okay.
But here's the thing. They never gave up.
Wow.
They viewed each setback as a learning opportunity,
That's great.
a chance to refine their designs and get closer to their goal.
That kind of persistence is truly remarkable.
It is.
They weren't deterred by failure, they embraced it
Right.
as part of the process.
Yeah.
That's a valuable lesson for all of us, wouldn't you say? Absolutely. And their resilience paid off
Yeah.
in 1902.
Okay.
After a particularly frustrating crash,
Uh-oh.
Orville had a breakthrough idea.
Okay.
He suggested replacing the fixed rear rudder
Mhm.
with a movable one
Okay.
that could be controlled by the pilot's hips.
Interesting.
That was a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
Up until that point, pilots had relied on shifting their weight
Right.
to control direction, which was incredibly difficult and unstable.
Yeah, okay.
A movable rudder
Okay.
controlled by subtle hip movements
Okay.
offered a much more precise
Yeah.
and intuitive method.
It's fascinating how a seemingly small tweak
Yeah.
can have such a huge impact.
It's right.
It's like they were constantly fine-tuning, finding
Yeah.
that perfect balance of design and control.
Absolutely.
But all this time they were working with gliders, relying on wind power.
Yeah.
At some point, they must have realized they needed more
Yeah.
to achieve sustained powered flight.
Right. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
They knew that to truly conquer the skies,
Yeah.
they needed a reliable source of propulsion.
Okay.
And here's where their ingenuity shines again.
Okay.
Instead of simply searching for an existing engine that might work,
Right.
they decided to design and build their own.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
They built their own engine.
they did.
Wow. I'm starting to see why these guys are considered such visionaries.
Right.
But remember, this was the early 1900s.
Yeah.
The concept of a lightweight, powerful engine
Right.
for an aircraft was practically unheard of.
Pretty much.
Where did they even begin?
Well, they relied on their years of mechanical experience,
Oh, yeah.
their meticulous research,
Yeah.
and their willingness to experiment.
Okay.
They studied the principles of internal combustion engines, consulted with experts,
Right.
and even adapted techniques from their bicycle building days.
It's mind-boggling to think about the level of dedication
Yeah.
and sheer grit it must have taken
Right.
to create something so complex
Yeah.
from scratch.
Yeah.
What does this DIY engine even look like?
It was a 4-cylinder
Okay.
water-cooled engine
Mhm.
that produced about 12 horsepower.
12 horsepower.
Yeah, to put that into perspective,
Okay.
that's less power than many lawnmower engines today.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that something that small could power a heavier-than-air machine
I know.
seems almost like counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But they had like meticulously calculated
Okay.
the weight of the aircraft, the wingspan, the propeller thrust,
Yeah.
and all the other factors.
Makes sense.
And they believed, based on their calculations and experiments,
Uh-huh.
that this engine would provide just enough power
Okay.
to achieve sustained flight.
So it wasn't just blind faith.
Right.
It was like a calculated risk
Yeah.
backed by their knowledge and experience.
Exactly.
But an engine alone doesn't make an airplane fly.
No.
What about the propellers?
Yeah.
I'm guessing those weren't exactly readily available back then either.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Propellers were another major challenge.
Okay.
They needed to be like lightweight, durable,
Yeah.
and efficiently convert the engine's power
Mm-hmm.
into thrust.
Makes sense.
They initially looked at propellers used on boats,
Okay.
but quickly realized that air and water behave very differently.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how did they go about designing propellers
Right.
that would actually work for an aircraft?
Well, they delved deep into like the physics of flight,
Okay.
studying the principles of aerodynamics and lift.
Okay.
They realized that like the shape, pitch, and size
Yeah.
of the propellers
Uh-huh.
were crucial
Right.
for generating enough lift
Yeah.
to get their aircraft off the ground.
So it's all connected.
It is.
All works together.
They spent countless hours testing different designs
Yeah.
in their makeshift wind tunnel. Wow.
A testament to their, like, dedication.
It's amazing how much, like, meticulous work and research
I know, right?
went into every single component of
Yeah.
this flying machine.
Mhm.
They were essentially inventing
Yeah.
an entirely new technology
Pretty much.
from scratch.
Exactly. It was a true fusion of, like, science, engineering,
Yeah.
and sheer determination.
Yeah.
And after years of, relentless work,
Mm-hmm.
countless setbacks,
Yeah.
and numerous breakthroughs,
Right.
they were finally ready to take their creation back to Kitty Hawk
Okay.
and attempt powered flight.
Okay. Now we're getting to the good stuff.
Yeah.
I can practically feel the, like, anticipation building.
Yeah.
It was September of 1903
Yeah.
when they returned to their, like, familiar testing grounds, this
Yeah.
time carrying their newly built
Right.
powered aircraft,
Mm.
which they named the Flyer.
You can imagine the mix of emotions they must have been feeling.
Oh, I bet.
Excitement, nervousness,
Uh-huh.
anticipation,
Yeah.
and a healthy dose of fear.
Yeah, of course.
After all those years of toiling away,
Yeah.
they were finally ready to put their dreams to the test.
So let's talk about that first attempt
Okay.
at powered flight.
Right.
What happened?
So on December 14th, 1903,
Okay.
with Wilbur at the controls,
Mm-hmm.
they were ready for their first attempt.
Right.
They flipped a coin
Okay.
to decide who would pilot the first flight.
Makes sense.
And Wilbur won.
Right.
He positioned himself,
Okay.
lying prone on the lower wing of the Flyer,
Okay.
started the engine,
Okay. The moment of truth.
and released the restraining wire.
Did it fly?
It did, for about 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
The Flyer lifted off the ground,
Okay.
traveled about 120 feet,
Wow.
then stalled and crashed into the sand.
Oh, man. Talk about a reality check.
I know.
That must have been a huge disappointment after all that work.
It was a setback for sure,
Yeah.
but luckily, the damage was minimal.
And more importantly, Wilbur was unharmed.
Right.
They spent the next few days making repairs and adjustments,
Yeah.
determined to try again.
And this is where we get to, like, the iconic moment.
Right.
December 17th, 1903.
We got it.
Right.
It was a cold, windy morning
Okay.
at Kitty Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
This time, Orville was at the controls,
Okay.
with Wilbur running alongside the Flyer,
Yeah.
steadying the wing.
Huh.
Orville started the engine,
Uh-huh.
increased the throttle,
Okay.
and the aircraft lifted into the air.
I can only imagine what was going through their minds
Yeah.
as they witnessed their creation, like, defying gravity.
Right.
This was the culmination of, like, years
Yeah.
of blood, sweat, and tears.
It was a moment that would change the world forever.
Wow.
The Flyer, with Orville at the helm,
Okay.
stayed aloft for 12 seconds
12 seconds.
and covered a distance of 120 feet.
Wait, only 12 seconds?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like much.
Right.
Especially for such, like, a monumental achievement.
Yeah. It might seem short, but those 12 seconds marked the first successful, sustained, controlled flight
Yeah.
of a heavier-than-air
Right.
powered aircraft.
Wow.
It proved, beyond any doubt,
Yeah.
that human flight was possible.
It's incredible to think about the, like, sheer magnitude
I know.
of that accomplishment.
Right.
And they captured it on film, too.
Yeah.
That famous photograph of the flyer in the air with Wilbur running alongside has become like a symbol of like human ingenuity and the like triumph of the human spirit.
That image is so powerful.
It is.
It perfectly captures the essence of their journey, the perseverance, the ingenuity, the like unwavering belief in their vision, and the sheer joy of seeing their dreams take flight.
It's such a beautiful image.
It is.
But what's even more remarkable is what happened next.
What happened next?
You got me intrigued. What happened after that historic flight? Did the world immediately embrace this incredible invention? You would think, right, like the world would have just like erupted in celebration.
Surprisingly, no.
Really?
Yeah, their initial success was met with like a mix of skepticism.
Oh, wow.
Disbelief. And even like outright dismissal.
You're kidding. Why would anyone doubt? Like such a monumental achievement.
Right.
It seems crazy to us now.
It might seem strange today, but back then, like the idea of a heavier than air machine actually flying was so radical that many just couldn't grasp it.
Yeah.
Remember, this was a time when horses and buggies were still like the primary mode of transportation.
Yeah, that's true.
The concept of flying machines was the stuff of science fiction.
So it was like a Pixar it didn't happen situation.
Yeah.
But in the early 1900s.
Right.
Except they did have a picture.
Exactly. And to complicate matters, the Wrights were notoriously private about their work.
Okay.
They didn't immediately like publicize their success or seek out fame and fortune.
So they weren't in it for like the attention.
No, they were focused on securing patents, refining their invention, and making sure they had like solid proof before going public.
I understand, like their desire to protect their work.
Yeah.
But I imagine that secrecy kind of backfired in a way.
Yeah.
Like the longer they stayed quiet,
the
more skeptical people became.
Precisely. Yeah. Rumors and speculation swirled.
Oh, I bet.
Some people thought they were frauds. Some thought they had exaggerated their claims.
Wow.
And others just couldn't believe that like 2 bicycle mechanics from Ohio had pulled off something so extraordinary.
So how did they finally convince the world that they had actually flown?
Yeah.
What was like their turning point?
Well, it took time, persistence, and a shift in strategy. They continued to like improve their aircraft, making longer
and more impressive flights. They even started reaching out to governments and organizations hoping to find like a buyer for their invention.
So they realized they needed to like showcase their invention to the world.
Yeah, if they wanted to be taken seriously.
But it wasn't just about like the money, was it?
No.
They truly believed in the potential of flight to like change the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Wrights weren't driven by like greed or fame.
Yeah.
They genuinely believed that their invention could revolutionize transportation, communication, and exploration.
They saw the bigger picture.
They did.
The potential for like positive change on a global scale. But how did they finally overcome the skepticism and like gain the recognition they deserved?
They realized they had to like step out of the shadows and into the public eye.
Okay.
So they began giving public demonstrations. Oh, okay.
Of their flying machine.
Cool.
Captivating audiences with their like controlled flights and aerial maneuvers.
I can imagine the like awe and wonder people must have felt.
I know.
Seeing a machine actually flying through the air.
Right.
It must have seemed like magic, like something out of a dream.
Absolutely. Remember, this was a time when most people had never even seen like a photograph of an airplane, let alone witnessed one flying in person.
Wow.
These public demonstrations were game changers.
Yeah.
They allowed people to see the Wright flyer in action, to witness like the impossible becoming possible.
It's amazing how a like shift in approach from like secrecy to public demonstration can make such a difference in like perception and acceptance.
Yeah.
But even as their fame grew,
they
never lost that spirit of innovation, did they?
Not at all. They were constantly refining their design, pushing the boundaries of what was possible.
Yeah.
They established flight schools.
Wow.
trained other pilots.
That's amazing.
And played like a pivotal role in the development of like the aviation industry as we know it today.
Their story is like a testament to the power of, human ingenuity, perseverance, and the like unwavering belief in one's vision.
Yeah.
From a small bicycle shop in Ohio to the world stage, they truly changed the course of history.
They did.
And their legacy continues to inspire us today.
It does.
Their journey reminds us that even the most, like, audacious dreams can become reality if we have the courage to pursue them, to learn from our failures and never give up on our passions.
A story that resonates so deeply, even over a century later.
It really does.
So, the next time you board an airplane or marvel at the sight of a plane soaring overhead,
take a moment to remember Wilbur and Orville Wright.
Yeah.
The two brothers who dared to defy gravity. And in doing so, gave wings to the world.
Beautiful.
And remember, if two seemingly ordinary brothers from a small town in Ohio could achieve something so extraordinary, what incredible feats are within our reach? If we too dare to dream big and pursue our passions with unwavering dedication.
That's something to ponder,
It is.
as we conclude this deep dive into the remarkable journey of the Wright brothers.
Absolutely.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning,
Yeah.
and keep reaching for the skies.